Hey guys, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Cruising along. It's good. It's good.
Good. Well, happy Thursday. I am going to help everyone out today and help you guys. I'm going to steal one of Leith's things because there are 35 actual days until the last day of school. That's 26 school days. But as Leith would say, how many more Mondays?
After this week, we have four.
Or
More
5 weeks. 5 weeks to go, but with 4 Mondays, and it seems so doable. But I've got to share with you all my lesson for the week has involved Kat. Kat is our Komochi friend, and she and I have been feeling a lot like this. The feeling word, my friends, is cranky, and a lot of cranky feelings and a lot of frustration going hand in hand. She and I have been working super hard at using our talking voice instead of our fighting voice. And I don't know about her, but my cranky and frustration has to do with not getting enough time off or time with my family because there's so many different changes coming our way. And Kat is the Komochi friend that went back to in-person learning about 5 weeks ago, and now she's going to go back to 5 days a week. And she's feeling frustrated and cranky because her schedule is going to change again. And her distance learners, their schedules are changing too. So it got me thinking with all of us and all the changes that we have, and as we approach our new month, May, and our character trait is going to be perseverance. I thought it'd be a great idea to check in with you guys to see if you're feeling impacted by either of these two harder to have feelings yourselves.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's been a lot of change. It's so funny. Last year, when everything went in one direction, it was like bing, bang, bam, we got to go it. And we kind of had to hit the ground running. And now I'm kind of feeling like coming out of this on the other end. It's feeling the same way, only more so because, like you said, we returned to in person, was it 4 or 5 weeks ago? But now we're having to like really expand and change all again because not for most students, not only is the time expanding and the number of days expanding, but it's also now it's mornings instead of afternoons. I know that families have had to kind of flip flop things themselves. I really like, I want to say thank you to the parents for being flexible.
Yeah.
I can't imagine having to deal with all the different changes that have been upended so many times. So really thank you and kudos to the parents for making it work for their students and for us here at school. I mean, I just thank you so much for that. But I know that for us here on the ground, changing things, it's been a plus for many of us. We're looking at maybe switching classrooms or starting to look at maybe doing summer school. We're also starting to look ahead as well. And I know students probably are as well too. Like there's going to be some changes over the next few months. So what's that going to look like as well on top of everything? I don't know. What do you think, Taylor?
Yeah, it's I couldn't imagine the difficulty in having to like pick up and change your schedule on like such almost like a dime for parents. So even like this week, not really knowing what was going to happen, and then now kids are at home a little bit more. It doesn't go unnoticed at how difficult it is at home with just the schedules alone. Then there's all sorts of other stuff, but the schedules alone are tough. This week I've been actually the last couple of weeks I've been talking to the kids a lot about being grateful, because I've noticed that there's that sort of like cycle that happens where we'll start talking about how difficult it is, and then that doesn't feel good, and then we start complaining more, and then it's like this sucks and we have to change, and it just kind of spirals negatively. But there's also positive things that are going on, and really the positive stuff is way more important than the negative stuff. Changing schedules is like, it sucks, but you do it. We do it all the time. But to me, like, kids are coming back. Kids are coming back more regularly. More people are getting vaccinated. We're starting to move towards that. So I've been really hammering with, especially the younger ones, what are we grateful for? What can we focus our energy on in that way? But yeah, its schedules are
Yeah, I've noticed the
just
same
roll with
thing.
it.
Yeah, and I'd also like to acknowledge, our distance learning families also whose schedules have completely turned upside down for being more asynchronous, and we have, and teachers, I mean, I have to acknowledge teachers, the amount of times that they've had to move their desks, it is a very real thing. They had to move desks out, desks had to be, and you know, why they do have a whole support team of actually physically moving the desks, the teachers have to be measuring and getting them in a safe space. And so desks went out, they came back in, they had to get rearranged. Teachers are learning to, some, not all, how to learn swivel cameras to, we want to be as inclusive as possible to have as much equity for the kids who are going to be continuing to learn at home, and how much change and how many feelings can be brought up. I think that I just have learned so much from our kiddos. I mean, starting at TK all the way through 6th grade, of exactly like you guys have both said, is talking about gratitude and ways in which they can persevere, and doing that in a really responsible and respectful manner. The things I've heard kids talk about this week is, you know, of course, talking about your feelings, acknowledging that. I've heard from breathing tool to quiet, safe place to a good long cry to outdoors exercise, listening to music to soothe the soul, true statement. Just really talking about what those things are, and then followed up by having all the things that are going well and right.
Yeah.
They're just so happy to be able to learn.
Yeah. One thing I've noticed maybe about the last few weeks is that I've seen people using coping strategies a lot more and a lot more effectively now than I did a few months ago, or especially like kind of that post-Christmas holiday time. I feel like around that time, people are just like, dude, I don't even have the energy to like take care of myself. Whereas now I'm talking to kids and parents and they're like, yeah, I am going outside. I am walking. I'm making a list of what's in my control or not in my control. And I think as that starts to happen, people are feeling better and they're able to manage some of the stresses a lot better. And kids are pretty stoked about coming back and seeing their friends, and they're not stoked about school. I don't want to confuse being stoked about doing work versus seeing their friends. But they are stoked to come back, which is cool.
And well, actually what I've seen with the students back in school is they're, even like you said, the academic part, even that, just being back and having having their classroom, having their teacher, having that setting, I think it made a huge difference for so many of our students. And I think it does make a big difference for a lot of them. And I think for everybody, and this is including the distance learners as well, is I think part of what will help with this next transition over this next week is there is light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, we're coming up on the end of the school year. Like you said, 4 more Mondays, you know, blah, blah, blah. So everybody's always excited that last month of school. You know, we say the 100 days of May, and it may actually feel like 200 this year. But on the other hand, it's probably going to go by very quickly. Before we know it, it will be the end of the school year. So we're looking at that. I think a lot of people are looking forward to having this summer where they can actually, you know, emerge and start doing some more of the things that maybe they missed out on last year. I know a lot of people at least are setting up like camping trips or even like day trips out to the beach, or just being able to go to a restaurant. All of those kinds of things, they're right there on the horizon. So we're in 2 different ways, we're kind of getting to the end of that road. And I think everybody at this point is able to look forward into, you know, how can I set myself up for next year, right? What am I looking forward to? And maybe that's something to look at over this next month, because our character trait is perseverance, right? So perseverance to get through the year, but also to like develop those skills that we need to kind of relearn, so that when we hit the ground next year, we can actually be successful to start out the school year as well.
Yeah, like they're practicing it. They're practicing for next year.
Yeah, this is it's a good soft landing for them to practice those skills.
Yeah, it's funny. I look at it kind of like, because I was thinking about, you know, talking to kids coming back this year. You know, I think I've gotten a sense, and from, you know, some teachers too, that it's like they're very focused on like this part. They're like, we're just going to get through this, and then it's going to be like party time this summer. And I'm like, I don't know. I kind of look at it like, I'll use a bike or triathlon analogy. But if you have like your end, Leith, you'll get this from swimming, but like if your end goal is whatever race, I've got this big event in 6 months, you use tune-up races to get to that point. And even though those aren't as important, you still want to do well. And so you still want to do, you know, you still race to win those races, but your ultimate goal is down the road. And I think our ultimate goal is to get people as healthy and ready to come back next year, when, you know, coming back full time next year. And this is a really good tune-up race that we want to win, but it's not the end goal.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's a great analogy. Just while you were talking and just thinking, I was like, how much it builds up endurance. You can't just go to run that marathon. You have to really warm up and build up that endurance to be able to sustain yourself. And I think that you guys talking about really, this is the practice of building that up, and to be able to do it next school year. I think that's really relevant.
Yeah, it's that academic endurance, right? Being able to sit in the classroom for 2 or 3 hours. They haven't, even though they've had Zoom, it's a different type of thing than, like I said, being in your regular setting and routine in the classroom, and the minute to minute having to manage things and that. So, so I think parents need to be aware that their kids will probably be exhausted. That first week, they might be more tired. I mean, think about the little kindergartners when they first start school and how many of them fall asleep on the bus on the way home. It's going to be the same kind of thing for the kids. This is a lot of physical, but it's also a lot of mental work, getting back into a routine and extending that academic, you know, endurance that a lot of kids don't have right now. And they'll get it back. But like I said, you have to work your way up to it and be able to do it in the end.
Yeah. While you were talking, I was cracking myself up at the thought of these kids coming back without their hoodies and laying down and you know, their head on the table, or the cameras turning off, or never unmuting, or pajama bottoms and slippers, like, or eating the bowl of cereal while they're Zooming. I mean, well, that is a big change. And I think they say that it takes 26 days for the human body to adapt to something new. So it's a buildup. So just when you get it figured out, it'll be summer break.
And our bodies are so good at adapting. You know, our bodies, you know, one way or the other, we've now adapted to being at home, wearing shorts, you know, wearing pajamas on Zooms, you know, just the timing of stuff. But we'll be able to adapt, and we'll get there, and it'll kind of suck for a little bit, but it'll be fine. Yeah,
it'll be hard. It won't suck. It'll be hard.
It'll be challenging.
Challenging. Well, we will persevere, and
we might feel like this at times, but if kids can learn the tools, we too can also learn the tools to use to manage those things, and just, it's okay. Well,
no, I think it'll be, as long as we maintain that level of like long-term goal, but being flexible on the way there, we'll get there.
Absolutely, because we are strong, resilient, and we will persevere.
As we always do.
Yes. Well, guys, have a great Thursday afternoon, and as always, it's been tons of fun.
Absolutely.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.